Welcome to the Crispy Corner. I'm Scott, I'm the head brewer here.
I'm Jacinda, or everybody calls me Juice.
Why do they call you Juice?
For funsies.
For funsies?
Yeah.
How far does the name go back?
So when I was like super little, I was really into juicy fruit, and one of my mom's roommates would like always like give it to me if I like did something like a chore or something like that. Like
nice.
If I made the bed, I would get a stick of juicy fruit and he would call me like Juice.
That sounds
Feel like for my nickname thing I should have been like, yeah, it's like he'd ask me to bring him a beer and he'd give me a stick of juicy fruit. Would have been cooler than making the bed.
Well, we still got it now.
Yeah.
We're actually going to be drinking 1971 today. This is our American Pale Ale brewed with Citra, New Zealand Wakatu, Ontario grown Chinook, as well as, I totally forget what else was in there.
Columbus?
Columbus?
Yeah.
Columbus, sweet. Brewed with pride. 1971 is a citrusy pale ale named in honor of the We Demand protest, the first ever public demonstration for LGBTQ+ rights in Canadian history. A portion of the proceeds support children and youth from LGBTQ+ families through the 10 Oaks Project.
This is what our cans look like, but if you have purchased them and have them at home, you might have a slight variance. There's actually, we have 8 different labels, kind of forms the pride flag over the 8 labels. Super cool.
Check it out, see what color you got.
Yeah, for sure.
Collect them all. They're all a little bit different. Yeah, for sure. Cool. It's a very heavily dry hopped American Pale Ale. I mean, we're going for like bright, lifted, citrusy and tropical aromatics. A hazy, soft, easy drinking beer, but smells great. Lemon, lime, passion fruit, getting into like tropical stuff. What do you think it smells like?
A lot of like white, fuzzy stone fruit, peaches, apricots, yeah.
Oh, we forgot to do a little cheers. We can do a cheers
You
for our...
forgot again.
You forgot again?
Yeah.
A little more?
Well, I got mine.
You got yours?
Yeah.
Okay. We've got a little side beer going on here. This is, oh my god. Oops. This is so fluffy. Look at that. Can't even pour it. Original Rustique.
Little fluffy boy.
Oh my god. This is Saison Rustique from Dunham. This is actually one of the first beers that sort of really got me into Saisons and Farmhouse Ales. Back before I was even making beer, I would get this from corner stores in Quebec. It was like a beer that aged really nicely. For me, it was kind of like a really surprising beer. Like, I didn't think that beer would have all these like crazy phenolics and aromatics that were totally yeast derived. Really dry, really bitter and hoppy and aromatic, but also had this funky side to it. The fluff on it's very nice too.
So fluffy.
Cool, so what do you do here anyways?
I make the beer sometimes.
You make the beer sometimes?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? I feel like you make a lot of the beer. What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I mean, usually it's coming in and starting or taking over a brew. Often I'll get here, it's like the mash is happening or just finishing, and I kind of take over from that point and follow it through into the fermenter, and then usually at that point one of the other guys sort of takes it over, gets the yeast in the tank, and we go from there.
So what is it about these that you enjoy?
The really neat thing about like a lighter beer is how much you can still really get out of it. You know, the first couple times you have a beer like that compared to having like a 4% macro, it's a totally different experience. One of the reasons that I really enjoy having them is because you can kind of sit down and have a couple and still be pretty level and really enjoy the beer in a different way than sitting down and having a bit of a bruiser of a stout. A couple of those and it's bedtime.
For sure.
But something like this, it's really cool, and there's still a lot of body, a lot of complexity. You can really showcase like whatever your hop profile is.
There's a few places that you can add hops to the beer, right? We can add it hot when we're actually making the beer, and then we can add it in like a little bit later on in the process. And when we do that, we add it to the beer, and it's like room temperature basically. What does that process bring to the table for you?
Definitely the aromatics, like the punchy aromatics for sure. Long lasting aromatic character.
So what does this beer sort of taste like to you?
It's super juicy, it's got a lot of the tropical character. The finish is dry. I feel like the Columbus shines pretty bright. It adds a little bit of like dank character to balance out some of those tropical fruit flavors and aromas. It's interesting too, I find like kicking up the bitterness even in a smaller beer and how it actually makes you more thirsty for like a second or third round even. For me, that was like really, it changed the way that I think about a pale ale or even like a lager. Bitter to me was always about like, well, how many IBUs or what's your hop count, something like that. Having some bitterness actually makes the beer more drinkable, more crushable, kind of leaves you wanting more.
When it can nail both and have enough like sweetness for body and that bitterness is really smooth, that's when it's like a killer beer for me. What are the beers that you really enjoy to drink that are like this from someone else?
Before I lived in Ottawa, I was living in Kingston. We were super lucky to have a brewery open there at Stone City Ales. The whole single-handed series I thought was really great. That's one that highlights a specific hop in the pale ale range.
I used to drink lots of 12 Star.
12 Star?
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Man, it's crazy. That's one of my favorites for sure.
I drank a lot of Wizard Wolf from Bellwoods.
Oh yeah.
That was like my sort of, first foray into like super fresh hoppy low ABV beer. Anytime pretty much that there's like a 4 or 5% hoppy beer that comes out, I'm probably gonna be trying to drink it. I recently had Willowball's Soft and Low. That was super good. It was like 3.3%.
I feel like I just drink the beer from here a lot.
We all take home a pretty healthy amount of staff beers. What is your go-to staff beer?
It's really been a lot of 1971. Before that, I was heavy on Borrowed Ideas. Going Down the Road came out. It's been like I bought a case last night. quick case, just in case.
Cool case of lagers for the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know when you might need them.
Brewers, I think, really enjoy beers that are like 5% or less. I think that we appreciate them more than anybody.
I'm definitely always reaching for something a little lighter, a little crispier, and
like you're making a beer shortly. You're making a low ABV hazy pale ale.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with it?
We got some New Zealand hops and I'm super excited about. They actually just came in yesterday or the day before. YDB and Owokatu. I hope I'm pronouncing those right, but...
We got lime going in.
Yeah. 100 pounds?
I ordered 150 just in case.
Yeah.
Lots of lime zest.
So we're actually brewing this beer next week, I think, if everything works out.
I think next week,
Next week, but like I said, we have those couple New Zealand hops and we haven't named it yet, have we? That's good. We have some time.
Yeah, you got lots of time to name it.
I just really enjoy lime. We chose the hops based on ones that have like a more lime character. To balance them, I think we're planning on, we'll do a little bit of Columbus again. It adds that really nice like dank, sticky character, which will cut like the acidity of the lime zest.
I really like where this idea is going because it's like we seek out all these like citrus and tropical notes from hops, or we pick different hops for different fruit characteristics. Sometimes it's like, let's just put the fruit in there so that it actually smells like this.
For sure.
And there's no debate over what it actually tastes like.
Yeah. So
it's like, this is going to be lime forward.
Another thing that I really enjoy about a pale ale is finding something to pair it with. Right now at home we're obviously doing a lot more cooking. On the website it says 1971 pairs really well with bananas Foster, scallops, and mascarpone. I don't really have any of those things. Oh yeah, here's some bananas Foster. Hawaiian pie is always my go-to, and we have a couple local spots. Pizza Maria, their Hawaiian pizza is maybe my favorite pairing for this beer right now. Or last night I think we had chicken Caesar wraps. Put the salad in the wrap because it's easier to eat it.
Two separate food items, you can just slap one in the other.
You put it all in one and you're good to go. Yeah, great. Sometimes I have things to do. I'm gonna take a sandwich with me.
Yeah, for sure. On the move, you're on the move.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. How the heck do you remember everybody's birthdays? And how do you always seem to find time to make everybody cupcakes?
Birthdays are a really cool thing because when you're a kid, that's like a super magical moment and everybody knows it's coming up and it's always like a fun thing. I've always kind of carried that with me, and then when I find out what someone's birthday is, being excited for the person that it's their birthday coming up and being excited to like celebrate that as an adult with someone, I guess it maybe helps me remember. I mean, also I put it in my calendar. And then I think cupcakes are kind of like the great equalizer. You bring in some cupcakes, everybody's happy. I actually almost always start making them at about 5 a.m. So they're like super fresh day of. It's an adventure,
I always have like, whenever it's someone's birthday, I always sneak like a couple extra cupcakes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. No, I shouldn't, and I kind of just eat them like maybe 1.5 bites.
But it's okay, I started making a couple extra because
you knew that, you figured that was happening. So when's your birthday?
I can't tell.
You can't tell us?
No.
How are we supposed to make you cupcakes?
I don't want any cupcakes.
So you don't want cupcakes?
Right. I want to make you cupcakes, but I don't want any cupcakes. Do you have a preference for cupcakes this year? I know you normally like vanilla and a little bit crusty. Like you would prefer that I make your cupcake the day before.
So I actually do like the day before cupcakes because the store-bought icing gets this nice sort of crust to it, and it's just like, it's not really a crunch yet. Kind of like when the snow melts a little bit but then hardens on top.
Yeah.
And when you step down it's like soft underneath the...
Yeah.
I think that you have a pretty cool history on how you got into beer and how you started working in beer. Like if we had to go way back, How did you start your education?
In high school, I was definitely like a very stereotypical athlete. Didn't drink beer at all because I was like super into athletics. I went to school for kinesiology, sports science. But a little bit before that, I went to Australia for like the second semester and kind of like backpacked on the East Coast. I was like staying in hostels, and everybody else that was backpacking would be like hanging out, enjoying a beer. And it was really interesting because then so I'd sit with those people and they're very like, everybody's hanging out, drinking, and like talking about the hot spots to like go visit. A common theme for us, I think, that we talk about often at Dominion is like beer brings people together.
Yeah.
And that was definitely something I noticed. And I just kind of like stumbled upon, I didn't know that like you could go to school for brewing. And I had all these like positive experiences with like beer bringing people together and like meeting people and going on adventures. And to me it seemed really exciting. The idea of like making the beer that brings the people together to me was like a super exciting concept. At the same time I was applying to Niagara College, I applied to Fleming for glass blowing. And so if I didn't get into brewing school, I was going to be a glass blower.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
And I got in and I said no, and they're like, oh, we're surprised and like really sad to hear that you don't want to blow glass.
How long is that acceptance letter for?
I don't know.
It's good for life.
It's good for life. You can join anytime. There's another beer coming up that we've been working on. You named it. It was your ideas of what to put in it. Want to tell us all about like the upcoming beer that you're working on?
So in contrast to the low ABV hazer that we're gonna brew in a week or two, we ended up doing like a pretty big stout, adjunct stout. We kind of went with the whole banana, chocolate, macadamia nut, a little bit of vanilla, and some cinnamon. And it's called After Midnight, a reference to, a lot of people be like, oh yeah, like Eric Clapton, but it's actually J.J. Cale.
Not Eric Clapton.
Not Eric Clapton. Yeah, J.J. Cale has a very like, his voice is like super, it's got that thick like molasses kind of sitting on your front porch, easy breezy vibe. And so when I was thinking like big, huge liquor stout, it kind of reminded me of like his artistic style in music.
Cool.
Yeah.
So now you called it a liquor stout. What does that term mean to you?
Big, strong. I think we're shooting for like 10-11% on something like this. Right?
Yeah, this one's actually like 11 and a half.
11 and a half, right? So yeah, liquor stout would be above and beyond like a strong beer.
Yeah, like it should have like it should be like strong enough that it's like kind of like a little liquory, you know?
Yeah, not like hot,
no,
but like you know it's a boozy beer.
Little nap time beer.
Yeah.
The label's black on black, which is cool. It's a couple weeks away.
Yeah, we still need to add the rest. So the bananas are in now, but we need to do the other, like the macadamia, the cinnamon, the vanilla, and the cacao. Like all of that still needs to kind of go in. So I heard we have new Crispy Corner t-shirts.
We do. $5 from every t-shirt will go to support mental health services for frontline workers. You can check them out on our Instagram, on our website. Get your orders in and stay home, slay foam. Lots of cool Crispy Corner merch coming up.
I feel like it's like in sun-split colors, right?
It is in sun-split colors. It's in like sun-split yellow and blue.
Perfect.
What else? Did I get that line? That's good. Thanks for joining us on Crispy Corner once again. Thanks to Juice for hanging out. Stay home, slay foam, keep it crispy.